the winner of the Monotron. It's dark down here. It's quite cool. Hello YouTube, this was meant to be a live, my first live transmission, but I've had trouble with software. I've been installing Wirecast, which links to my YouTube channel. They haven't sent me an email that will verify my account, and I'm sort of sat here waiting. So what I thought I'd do is we'll hang on for a few minutes. Some of you have actually already sent me some questions, which is brilliant, and I'm happy to answer them. In the meantime, I'm going to play a little bit of the Linnstrument, and then we will have the synth, whatever it is, the Monotron Duo. We're going to have the giveaway and find out who's actually won it. Okay, so a couple of minutes of blues. Okay, so let's have a look at this then. Okay. Okay, a little bit of blues. Email hasn't come through, so let's move on. I had a couple of questions from people on social media, and one of the first questions was about asking, because what I put out on social media today, and they only did it at lunchtime, was ask me anything. So there's 2 or 3 questions. Excuse me. First one is from Penny Booth, who asks me, what software do I use to edit my movies? I use iMovie on an Apple computer, so free software basically. I have tried another free, much more elaborate software, but I couldn't really get on with it, and I've got so used to using iMovie that I can edit quite quickly with it. It has limitations, it's got problems, it doesn't do very well with titles. You're very limited by what you can do with titles, unless you go outside of iMovie and create your titles and then bring them back in, which is, to be honest, I can't be bothered to do that. My plan long term is to have Final Cut Pro, which is the bigger, more expensive version of iMovie. It's a lot more expensive. It's £300, $300. So that will come in future when I've got the money to buy that, really. Lewis Bond has asked, he's asked about Edinburgh Fringe, which I'm about to go to, and how did I get accredited? The way that it works is that certain time of the year, and you have to keep checking on the Fringe website, they will, I think the process started in March, and what they want from you is they want to know that you are a legitimate reviewer, blogger, whatever it is, and so you have to send them quite comprehensive details about the work that you've done in the past. Now, when I first started, when I first started reviewing Edinburgh Fringe, which was probably, I don't know, about 6-7 years ago, I did it for an online magazine called York Mix, and I did it for a couple of years for them. I was never paid for it, but what that did guarantee me was it guaranteed me I could request free tickets at that point. And that was great for a couple of years. Although actually I have to say the process of getting the free tickets wasn't brilliant. Then I stopped writing for York Mix, and I went, because I'd started the Audiophile Radio Show, which was originally on something called Westwolds Radio, which was a community radio station. That radio station's now gone, so the Audiophile Radio Show is now on iTunes, as an iTunes podcast, and on Podbean. So for the last couple of years, I've gone as a reviewer, and now the way that it works is I've reviewed shows on Twitter daily when I'm up there, which I will be doing again this year, and I've also then put together one or two audiophile radio shows and talking about the reviews that I've been to see and that sort of stuff. What's different this year is I'm taking you guys with me, and the plan is to do a daily vlog from up at Edinburgh. So that's new. I mean, the people I've spoken to at Edinburgh Fringe think that's a great idea, because it should hopefully give you a feeling for what it's like to actually go to the festival if you've never been. So that's the plan. I will still do an Audiophile Radio Show, which will probably, when I get back on the 10th of August. So over the next 3 or 4 days, probably about the middle of week of August, I will have the radio show finished and up, and so you'll be able to have a listen to that. So that, I hope that answers your question, Lewis. Zoe Marsden says, do I have to pay for Edinburgh Fringe tickets? Yes and no. Currently what happens is, because I am going to Edinburgh Fringe as a blogger, blogger stroke radio presenter, I'm not guaranteed free entry to anything. So what I've done is, the things I definitely want to go and see, I've paid about £100 for tickets so far, which was covered about, how many shows is that? 10 shows, something like that. The way that it tends to work is that most shows are an hour, although some are a bit longer, but generally it's an hour. Some of the theatre can be an hour and a half, and the cost of a ticket can be anything between £10 to £20 really. Most tickets are £10 to £12. Now they do have these 2-for-1 days, which is when I've bought most of the tickets, because what I'm doing, I'm taking my wife with me, so she's going up there with me. You'll see her on camera, and we've bought a whole load of 2-for-1 tickets, so we've paid for one ticket and got the other one free. And there's a couple of days where the preview days, because it actually doesn't officially start till the weekend, this weekend coming, but we're going to be there from Wednesday, so Wednesday, Thursday are preview days, so we've been able to buy some slightly cheaper tickets there. I have also been contacted by some of the PR companies, only a couple of them, and I have got 3 free tickets for some shows on the Thursday to review. Now there are no restrictions on this. If I don't like it, I will say I don't like it. So you know, I am very appreciative of the PR company that have actually organised the tickets for me. So thanks very much, Paul. The other thing that's also happened over the last couple of weeks is I've been contacted by predominantly through Facebook, Twitter and YouTube by artists saying, I think you might come and like my show. I think you might like my show. Is it the sort of thing you would come and be interested in? Some of those things are on the free fringe. When they're on the free fringe, I've said yes, I'll definitely come and see them. And so there's at least 2 shows there. And I've been contacted today by a chap who he's doing a show about Paul Simon, the singer-songwriter, and he thought that I might quite like to come review his show. I've said yes. Now he has given me contact details to organise a ticket, so that's in the. They want to have a look at they want to see what I've done before. So I'm going to send them some links to previous Audiophile Radio shows and the stuff that I've written for Edinburgh Fringe and stuff like that. So they'll get a feel that I'm legitimate in that sense, and they'll give me a ticket. I mean, I have to say that this Paul Simon show was not something I knew it was that. I'd noticed it, but it wasn't something that was on my radar to go and see. So if it's something I'm wanting to go and see, then I'm happy to pay for it. But if it's something that I've been asked to go and see on their behalf to see what I think about it, then I'd like a free ticket. Hope that answers your question. Okay. So another one from Zoe. How much does it cost to go to Edinburgh Fringe? I don't know as an artist. Excuse me, I need some water. I don't know as an artist, but it's expensive. As I said in my 10 things to do about 10 things you need to know about Edinburgh Fringe. We booked very late this year, and the accommodation that we've booked could be horrendous now, because I've seen some of the reviews. We've booked student accommodation just off the Royal Mile on Cowgate. We've booked it for 9 nights because we're there for roughly 10 days. And that has cost £800. Now that is quite cheap for Edinburgh Fringe, because what happens is the prices go through the roof. So everywhere is booked up. Most of the hotel, the hotel that we stayed at last year, which was a hub, was brilliant and fairly reasonable. That was completely sold out, so we couldn't go back there. That was partly my fault, because we didn't book it until March, April time. What we really should have done was we should have booked it straight after last year's festival, but at that point I wasn't sure who was going to be going, whether it was just me and Jane or whether it was our sons or whatever. So we couldn't book it until later. So it's costing £800 to stay for 10 nights, or 9 nights, and we've spent £100 on tickets. So it's not a cheap. If you're thinking of it as going for a holiday, it ain't cheap. We'll probably end up spending at least another £100 on tickets, and then you've got meals out and food and all the other things that go with going to a sort of festival where it's all over the city. Okay. Other questions. Dave Duffy has asked, what is my background in music? Okay. Well, do you want the short answer or the long answer? I started playing music at about 14. I was a rubbish bass guitar player. And within a year switched over to keyboards, which back in those days was an organ, so I was completely self-taught. Didn't have any formal training in music, although I'd played from the age of 14 to now. The main instruments I play are piano and guitar, and I've been playing guitar for 20 years, but I wouldn't consider myself to be I'm a proficient guitarist, but it's not my first instrument. Piano's my first instrument. I've also been, for the last couple of years, playing the Linnstrument, which is a challenge. It's basically just a MIDI controller, but yeah, you connect it to, I had it connected to an iPad, but you can connect it to a laptop or something else, or a synthesizer. Completely different way of working to how I have worked with keyboards. So grew up playing in bands. So always played in bands, on duos. Right the way through the 80s, I played in a covers band. We were a professional band, so we would be out 4 or 5 nights a week. Jen and I were newly married before the kids came along, so and all the way through the miners' strike in the late 80s and through the early 90s, I was playing first of all in bands and then in duos, doing workingmen's clubs and nightclubs and places like that. So I very rarely, for years, I very rarely went in a pub, because the only time I went in a pub was when I was working. So I did that for probably best part of 10 years. Then got a proper job, ended up working for a university, and while I was at the university, I was there about 17 years as a lecturer. I got lots of audio based and music based projects, although I was basically teaching computers. I did a master's. I'd already done a degree in computing, and I had a master's in software design, or educational software. I did a master's in music technology because I wanted to have some sort of a music qualification, really, which hated the first year because it was very, very technical, and I'm technically minded, but I just hated, I know about dither and all that sort of stuff, but to do a whole module on dither was literally torture. The second year was a lot better because I was composing. So I spent the whole second year doing composing modules, and then did my final master's piece, which was an album which is now out on iTunes and Apple Music and Spotify, and that's Deconstruction. So you can go and check that out if you want. It's avant-garde experimental music. So that after about 6 years ago, I left the university, and I now run a music shop and a record label, and I compose music. So I've been doing that for the last few years. So that's my whole background in music. I hope that it's a long answer, but you get the idea. Pete Growcut. I'm sorry, I've just murdered your name. Growcut. And I've just answered this, Pete, but you asked me what my day job was. My day job is I run a music shop business with Jane, my wife. So that's what we do day to day. As part of that, I do bits of this stuff, and I do the record label, which is, if anything, the record label is you'd class it as a non-profit. I do recording sessions in the studio here, and I have clients that come in and record their albums with me. Predominantly albums, but sometimes we do singles and all that sort of stuff. But because we're running a music shop, I don't have a huge amount of clients because I haven't got the time. It would be nice at some time in the future that I have more time to do more music with people. And I mean, the way that tends to work, and I started doing a series of videos about how to start a record label. I work with people that that I like. Actually, I don't necessarily have to like their music, but I need to like them. So, and I've done a couple of comedy albums. So if you look at Sinner's music online, you'll see that you know, there's my stuff up there. There's some of the bands that I played with. There was a lovely chap that I did a couple of comedy singles from, guy in his 80s. Now, sadly, this chap called Diesel Dave passed away, and but for the couple of years that in the last 2 years of his life, it was that he'd been in music all his life, and he'd never had a royalty payment. Now, he'd written bits of music over the years, and clearly had been ripped off all those years. So what we were able to do, and the royalty checks are not massive for him, but he gets his widow now will get those payments. But at least for Dave, for those last couple of years, he was starting to get some royalty payments, so we were able to help him with that. And it's criminal that the guy who, you know, was in his 80s and has been a musician all his life literally has not earned any money from the songs that he'd composed. But anyway, we digress. I think that's probably it with the questions. Right, let's get on to the main part of the session, and that's to pick the winner of the Monotron. Okay, now the way we're going to do this is there are 9 people who sent me their who complied with what I requested, and I've got all their names on a clipboard somewhere. There it is. So all their names are on a clipboard, and what we're going to do is we're going to do this with a randomizer. So I'm going to be able to do it so that I'm trying to move the, oops, didn't mean to bubble the camera there. So what we've got here is, I hope you can see this, we've got, if I press that, that's a randomizer. I hope you can see that okay. So I need to put 1 in there, and the maximum number is 9. Oops, no, not 999. Is 9. Okay, so what, can you see that? Hope that's okay. So what happens now is the minute I press that randomizer button there, there's a way, apparently we can do this by shaking it, but I'm not. I'm just going to press the randomizer button. So once I press the randomizer button, whichever number has been allocated to that person, they win the Monotron. Okay, so here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 1. Okay, now number 1 is Fiddling with My Whistle. So well done. I don't know his real name, but well done, Fiddling with My Whistle. What I need you to do is I need you to send me an email to sinnersmusic@yahoo.co.uk. And send me an email with your address, and I will pop it in the post for you. Now, I'll put the email address down below as well. So I need you to do that sooner rather than later, if possible. Like I said, we're going away to Edinburgh in 36 hours. So I'd like to get it out to you before I go away. If not, it'll have to wait till I return. But it's yours. So well done, Fiddling with My Whistle. And he's got, by the way, you should look at Fiddling with My Whistle's YouTube channel. It's brilliant. If you play violin or you play any sort of penny whistle, his channel is absolutely fantastic, because I've had a look at it and we've had a few conversations over YouTube. So well done. And sorry to everybody else who actually entered but didn't win. But that's absolutely brilliant. So we'll stop it there. Thanks very much for watching. I'm sorry it wasn't alive as I wanted it to be. What I'm going to do now is quickly try and edit this video and get it up in the next half an hour or so. Okay? So, see you in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.